I'm not going to mince words, this channel was in a state. 2022 was harsh, copyright claims galore, YouTube copyright bugs where claims didn't expire as they should have, and a poor majority of the year for exciting and popular content. You insane nutjob JoJo fans have arguably been my greatest support for the past 5 years. You rallied and essentially lobbied to get JoJo voted in relentlessly when you found out I had a Patreon, and together you made 3 of my 4 JoJo compilations break the top 10 and currently hold the number 1 and number 2 spots. 2022 has been rough. I ask you now, please subscribe, please like and comment, watch as much of the video as possible, and if you can, support me on Patreon or via tipping on YouTube. 2023 will either be a rebound year or the year I sadly need to find other work to provide for my wife and 2 pups. Thank you so much for listening, thank you so much for joining me for all of these years, and I am honoured to now present you with everything great about JoJo's Stone Ocean Part 3 of 3. The ultimate scenery shot? Jolene being Jolene. 2 wins. Firstly, it's very sweet, but also kind of sad under the surface when you understand that he's so excited about seeing such simple things outside like this. Secondly, it's for us seeing the outside again. Just the very start of episode 1 was outside, so this is oddly amazing to me. Easily the best, most intense removing of a coat scene in anime. Destiny is mine. I'm so glad they decided to do a new OP. It didn't bother me so much, but I know it did many fans. But this one was great. Seriously reminded me of the first ever OP with the CGI, which looks outstanding by the by, and a ballad kind of fits considering the epic final tone being set for this entire story's culmination. Also have a separate win for the final end of the OP where she runs at him. Don't think I've forgotten how that's basically the same as the first ever OP with Jonathan Joestar. Oi, mate! I really appreciate how the main group is currently split so as to allow for different enemy encounters and building storylines and character progression away from one another for now. I believe I mentioned this during part 2, but for me, a favourite element to Stone Ocean has been how the main antagonist hasn't had it easy throughout. He's struggled to stay one step ahead. David Productions does such a great job of mixing together both CGI and then hand animated stuff like vehicles. It's like I can read the future! I just wrote win number 482 and then this happens! I'm over here with my jaw slack after he got impaled with the scissors. Did it to himself! It's weird, man. Take a confused but hyped win. Honestly, what a fantastic song for this moment. Mixed with the sound of a church, maybe, with a serious tinge of epic danger. The studio has also pretty much mastered weather effects since the days of Diamond is Unbreakable, where I first noticed a big improvement over past seasons. One of my favourite parts of JoJo really has to be the encountering of a new enemy stand. It's really weird, wonderful, and often for me personally confusing but exciting stuff. For likely one of the final times ever, I adore these art style changes. This for me is 2 max wins, and you might be saying, really, for that? It's because I love that music. It's from last season with Nero versus Doppio, and of course the scene will get a win anyway too. Stands that are basically automatic always get a win. It's very unique and there's not a great many of them. This is so unique, yet another unique standard! Oh man, I'm gonna miss saying that. That dates back to like, maybe Stardust, where I did it for the first time? Good times, man. Weirdest win of the video goes to making references I actually fully understand. You see, I'm not a huge music guy. I know Queen and stuff, obviously, but not most of it. I swear, I'm not dumb, but JoJo is the only anime where I'm always scratching my head until everything is revealed, bruh. I love being lost in the midst of them figuring out a new stand. Kawaii! Getting to see more of my guy's stand abilities? Great Oh my god, they used the song again! So many references, this is insane. City scenery shot, looks pretty detailed too. That landing though! Also, not running on the spot. Scenes like this are brilliant, watching a stand and its user work together in such a simple but effective way. That legit made me laugh harder than they probably intended it to, but yet another great use of his stand. I'm so confused by what reference these creepy looking little goats are meant to represent. I legit cannot believe they're even mentioning artists. This is such a wild episode, I love it. Again, David Production just nails it when it comes to these kind of art style changes. Only one that does it better is probably Mob, but that's its main kind of deal. Great voice acting, but also incredibly creepy, goodness me! City scenery shot that probably took someone ages to create. His own voice acting was superb there. They always take the role so seriously, it's great. I've talked about this maybe a dozen times over the past 5 years, but JoJo is also the only anime where I never have any clue how they're going to win the day. How can he possibly get out of this alive? The reveal that they're Dio's weird offspring. I always appreciate the little bits of effort every now and again to ensure there's some amount of realism, such as right here. Literally one of the greatest of all time JoJo style NANI moments.
このご本人がヒーローを作って書いてもらったストーリーも作った。争い、お前も俺も無傷の肉体のところへ。
You could have given me several very long years to try and figure out how this would have gone, and I still don't think I'd have thought of this. In fact, it's so creative and well animated, it gets 2 max wins.
希望がいっぱい詰まってるお話なのに。
As always, take a win for these end cards, just explaining what ultimately ended up happening. Big fan of that. Putting actual pictures in picture frames.
ひょっとしてまだあの時の車じゃないわよね、ロメオ。
Sorry.
It's tough to express my love for JoJo poses. It's an easy win with a JoJo pose, but in reality, it's so synonymous with the specific anime. It's actually a big deal to me.
でももうどうでもいいのよ、ひき逃げのことなんて。
This for me just represented how far she has come as a character. It all means nothing to her anymore. She's been through so much other stuff that matters, her father and everything else.
警察ですか。脱獄囚について通報したいんですが、空女ジョリーンのことです。
私のシールを貼って2つにして持ってきといてよかったな。
金を要求されましたが断りました。メキシコあたりへ行くって言ってたかな。
ロメオ、あんた見直したわ。
Probably one of the most shocking plot twists in the entire anime, in all honesty.
片方のまぶたがいつも降りてきちまって上に上がんないんすよ。
Saitama from One Punch Man.
3箇所か4箇所になっているような感覚が。とにかく西なのよ。神父が今。
The sound effects here are so good, I actually thought the wind was somehow coming from my house. She produces some of the best nannies in the whole thing. Not only did that look awesome, but what an equally awesome use of the stand-door.
でもだんだん集中できるようになってきたぜ。ヘリを襲えるくらいまでな。
Stone Ocean really has some of the most out there, wacky but incredible looking character designs, more so than any other part to my mind.
には能力なんてない。俺には何もできない。ある。お前にはあるのだ。
Great scene, both doing some cracking voice acting, especially Dio's son, but the father also has an air of caring about him, which makes him very different to all prior villains. I won't keep on doing it, just felt like another win should be dropped for 3 back-to-back Joe posers. Several of the enemy have had backstories this season. I'll admit, it's been a few years since I started JoJo, but I don't recall too many of them having that, so that's a season win. I might be misremembering, but I swear in earlier seasons the battles were always on one side of the fair as well, until then it wasn't. But in Stone Ocean, several of them have been up against it from the start.
1969年7月、アポロ11号のアームストロングが人類初めて月面に価値のあるものは精神の成長なんだ。
I liked this. As bad as it was for them, felt like his own character growth, which I can of course appreciate. Yet another new and totally unique stand-door! Ah, I had wondered when the first proper ad break stand skill chart would appear.
人体の病気になった部分は他の健康な部分よりも体温が低くなってるって。
I'm over here literally learning stuff, boys!
神父を追い詰めることを考えれば大したことはない。
She's entered total badass territory now. She's in her father's league.
自分たちの決闘のことを考えろ。そうだ。 はもう俺がお前と同じ状況になれば俺の心はアポロ11号だ空上ジョリーン俺はお前の上を行く
A great example of the earlier mentioned character growth, he didn't just give up, he thought of his importance he derived from his bloodline shared with Dio and it sparked him into actions. How can you hate that?
勝利者は俺だもうパニックの症状が出たりはしない俺は今までの人生を取り戻す
Been waiting for it all of this time, but it's the first color palette change!
こいつ最初はヘリコプターを追ってきた
That music is so stupidly good it should be ashamed of itself, but I bet it isn't.
お前たちが何者か聞こう神父が今何をしているのか
Dear Lord! Look at that quality animation right there. Loads of frames to make it as smooth as possible and as cool and stylish as can be.
これほどまでの決意とは
Actually, between this onslaught and the last win with the gorgeous animation, it tips the scale to 2 max wins.
神父のところへ行こうとする決意父親空城城太郎から受け継ぎ目覚めた意志
We already knew this, but I'll be damned if it doesn't feel amazing to hear it spelled out as well. Makes me very happy.
全ては神父を天国へ押し上げるために動いている運命なのだ
Feels like this is just a decent explanation of their side of the battle, why they're fighting. I like that too, rather than it merely being someone who happens to be fighting for Dio.
ウェザーリポートあの男がもし脱獄してくるならそれはお前を追ってじゃない
I'm in awe of them giving the characters far more depth than they've ever had before. Don't get me wrong, there are many examples of deep prior characters, but it just feels more across the board here.
奴は神父の実の弟だからな
Plot twist!
神父は私に倒されるためにいる行くぞオーランドへ神父はそこにいるんだろ
Goodness me, there's so much more to these characters than before. Her pushing her forwards when she saw that doubt was seeping in. I just learned something else new. Bikers don't legally have to wear helmets in Florida. I mean, they have to be over 21 and have medical insurance, but still the anime was right and I love to learn. Also, take one more here for skipping the ED for extra juicy and saucy content to go alongside my main dish. Not gonna lie, seeing the whole plan so far since the escape happened on a map is pretty sweet.
重要なことよ
His determination and how he wears a lot of his emotions on his sleeve. Creating some genuinely real looking food for this scene.
僕は撃たれたんだ
Stone Ocean smashing it with not only unique stands but many creepy ones as well. Since this may be the final time, depending upon David Productions doing future adaptations or not, take a win for these effects. They really make the anime feel like it came from a manga and are so JoJo.
移動しているのよどこかへ移動していくのを感じる
So stylish looking!
だが神父はこの穴の中で新月まであと3日待つつもりだとしたら絶対に離さないでよおい
Adding in this time limit was a stroke of genius, really allowing Araki to force the story forwards or strip away seemingly logical alternative options the heroes could take.
2005年
おい見ろあいつロープを引きずってきているぞ
Easiest another unique stundo of the third part! Some of the best looking CGI and animation David Productions has pumped out this season right here.
エルメスもっとだもっと引っ張り上げるんだオラオラオラオラオラオラ
I'm so nervous right now!
聞かせてくれよおいエルメス
スポーツマックスなんだエルメス
I'm so very confused! Someone send help!
これは
Not showing it, but the woman on the plane just went all total recall, like with the dude who's living in the tum of the other dude, and it was gross. Take a second win here, again not showing it as YouTube would punch me in the thigh, but the passengers have their skin falling off and are drinking through their cheeks and JoJo really leaning into its dark side.
まさか思い出してきたダラス行き2882便
I can't believe it! This is real too!
この病院の近くまで迫ってるようだからな。
The reason why I mentioned I was happy that the team was split up earlier on now coming into play, as they might arrive in order to rescue them. I'm loving it too much!
それとも神父のやつがそばにいるってことか。違う。3人のことだ、話せ。
Must be such a pain to have to bring life to such a vivid manga. Like the details on their clothing. I can imagine it being very difficult to animate that for every scene, but they do it.
飛んでる飛行機のドアって開けるとやばいんじゃねえのか。確か気圧が違う。やれー。空圧を使ってそのまま突っ込む気だ。
Realism like this is excellent, not physically, but in the situation, because she starts off doubting her friend, but as soon as she sees that the upper hand is ready for the taking, she switches to support right away.
命令ミグの野郎に発砲され着弾した模様。
That's really got to be up there with some of the most unique stunts I've ever witnessed.
俺は自分の父親が何者か知らなかったが、父親違いの妹たちばかりを可愛がる母親と義父にうんざりし。
Another backstory for another bad guy? Are you mad?
恥を知りなさい。障害者から盗むなどとは。
That moment is so JoJo, isn't it? Really struck me, that did.
翌日、3つ年上のシャバではギャングの使い走りにボコボコにされたり。
It's also worth pointing out that the backstories aren't in any way similar to one another. They're very different, and in this instance, got me feeling truly sorry for his past.
ディオの求めていた能力を手に入れられないもんかな。俺だって資格はあるぜ。俺だってディオの息子だ。
Just as I was saying recently, this kind of friction is new. Normally the enemies love the enemies, but here, it's yet again different. Massive props for making them so distinctive.
私は戦闘機だ。地面に激突する。脱出方法を探してくれ。は？
Unexpected JoJo humor.
操縦して旅客機に突っ込んでも爆発しない。
するわけがないよ。事実が墜落したって言うなら。
He's so awesome and smart, and what a clever way as well to kind of rewrite yourself out of the past.
ほら！エルメス、座席を守るんだ。
That was sick!
なんだ。お前らは。
座席の破壊なんか必要ない。空女ジョリーン、シートベルトを忘れるな。
ごめんね。今僕たちどくから座って。
This is genius, both for the story and the twist, but also for his intellect. What an absolutely mind-blowingly great twist to use against your enemy.
そんな奴に強い闘志が残っているか?
I took this moment as him being angry. Maybe he knew it had to be done in order for him to reach his goal, but he definitely didn't look happy with the tactics. When slowed down, the animation looked fantastic during the explosion.
体を2つにしてその生存者の中に子供を隠した。
That's so stupidly smart! How on earth does he think this stuff up?
ジョリーンは墜落から逃れる場所はない。
私がお前ならそんな安易なものの考え方はしない。
ジョリーンは肉体の可能な部分まで糸になって。
How come he's such a disgustingly unique villain though?
やれやれと。
She said the thing!
すぐに戻せ。私に返すのだ。
やっと生きてきた意味が分かりかけてきたというのに。
お前は何も分かっていない。深淵なる目的の私とディオの砦に踏み込んでくるんじゃな。
I won't keep banging on about it, but definitely have another win here for this turn of events. Two enemies facing off like this just never happens in JoJo, really?
が座ってた椅子だぜ。気安く触ってんじゃねえ。殺す。
Epic plot twist. I can't believe how it's gone down.
怪我人を押しのけてベンチに座るのは。いや悲しいぜ。そんなに座らしたけりゃよ。気分が良くなったぜ。
Essentially, having the voice actor change the voice was brilliant. Sounds way more evil now.
虹だ。
What can only really be described as being brilliant sound effects for this moment.
やばいが、俺は生き残るためにウェザーリポートを利用させてもらったぜ。
虹を止めるにはウェザーを始末するか、もしくは記憶を再び抜き取るしかない。
I'm struggling to express how in love I am with this part of the story because it would be a first that the good guys have to sideline their mission, literally letting the bad dude get away because something more important has now come along. I love it! This is so weird! Also though, moving multiple characters within one scene.
この騒ぎだからな。きっとまだこいつは財団とやらに会えずに。
So awesome how stands give the studio the ability to create great looking moments like this.
丈太郎のディスクを俺のものにしてえな。
Color palette change again.
能力を2つ持つことはあり。
That epic looking exit from the hospital though.
みんなとは違う動きをしているやつを探すんだ。くそ、俺は負けないぞ。
Even though it doesn't last long due to him using his underworld ability, it should be praised that he totally didn't predict the correct action he would take and basically got lucky. I did mention it in the previous win, but it still deserves another for this moment. Poor lad. I'm so pleasantly shocked by the consistent looking animation and effects. They've just gotten better over the years.
Hot, hot, hot.
I'm so confused. What's going on?
信じられねえ。捕らえたぞ。転がって近づいた。へし折れ。
They pick the best, most intense, epic sounding songs for these battles. They're legends.
やったぞ。本物の丈太郎のディスクだ。手に入れたぞ。
It's a testament to their work that genuinely I'm angered by him holding that disc. It's like, you don't get to do that to him. Isn't that weird?
一気に。
まったく進まねえ。
Finding that path to victory and always managing to have it make sense within the bounds of their stand's abilities. No making up extra stuff they can suddenly do. It's just awesome. It's a fairly small thing, easy to miss, but the level of detail on the characters now that they're infected by the snails is amazing, to be frank.
俺の唯一の生きる希望は奴との決着をつけることだ。
Brilliant. To think this up? To have this be his mission in life? Meanwhile, he's destroying the world essentially, and now he has new enemies. It's brilliant.
アメリカ新南部の蒸し暑い夜中、ある町の山陰で一人の赤ん坊が産声を上げた。
I think it's very fair to state that narration dialogue has become far better over the many years the manga has been running too.
お祈りして名前はドメニコって後でつけたのよ。
主よ、お教えください。同じ日に生まれた自分と死んだ弟。
Oh, such good storytelling! Very brief city scenery shot. Also take another win for skipping another OP or ED for more content.
誰だ？そこで何をしている？おい！
君の本か？日没になったらここを出ていくよ。
I don't know why, but this totally feels like something Dio would do in his more eccentric phase.
何が？
追い出さないのか？私はもしかするとここの美術品を盗もうとしている泥棒か。
The voice actor has always done such an amazingly consistent and professional job voicing Dio. Super impressed with all of the backstory being shown, not only this episode, but in part 2 out of 3 as well, I believe. It's really helped to build him up as a character.
の赤ちゃんを病院で誰も見ていない間に交換しました。幸せでした。
Such a beautiful song. If anyone knows it, please stick it in the comments. It's very rare that I hear a song I click with so fast. That.
心が通じてるの。こんなの初めて。
おめでとう、ペルラ。妹を傷つけることだけは絶対に避けなくてはならない。
50% of the win is for the gorgeous animation on his head movement, but the other 50% is for how unique he is. I'm in awe in all honesty. One of the best villains so far I've seen.
そしてこいつを産んだ隣町の母親の家にもすでに火を放ってきてやる。
Out of all of the anime I've seen, the many movies, TV shows, and games that I've played, very few times have I felt sick to my stomach watching a scene. I did here. Very emotional moment.
ペルラか、それとも全員がただ人を愛しただけなのに。
Take another one here for choosing one of the best, most emotional songs they have for this scene.
私の心の中にはもう雨が降ることさえない。
まだウェザーにかすかに脈があることも知らずに。
Incredibly sad. Well-crafted scene. Wow.
命を返してくれるなら何でもするぞ。呪われるべきはこの私だ。
Outstanding voice acting, but also that animation makes for a perfect scene.
知ってるなら教えてくれ。あんた地獄耳なんだろう。なぜカタツムリが急に湧くようになったんだ。
They are nailing the choices for their music, matching it amazingly well every damn time.
俺の時だけ。なぜ俺は生きているんだ。
ウェザーは怒りで満ちていた。そのまま湖にも飛び込んだが、波が起こって押し戻されるだけ。
Not only spending so much time to build up the father's backstory, but now his as well, and it's such a good story too.
ウェザー、お前には消えてもらう。
Even if it's only briefly, I loved seeing them do battle quickly. Take a final win for a brilliant episode for how it transitioned from the past to the present so seamlessly. It just set everything up, the characters, the story, and what's happening now so well.
お前、蘇ったのか。自分の過去の記憶が。FF のことや、ジョリーンの父親の封印した記憶を奪ったあいつの目的も含めて。
It's funny, you know, because of the last episode, he now has become a much greater character in my mind. Like, I find myself caring far more for him than ever before because of it. They really didn't have to animate them moving through the shot, but they did it anyway because they're legends.
かつてお前の記憶を抜いた1988年にやっとのことだったが克服しているからな。
Epic plot twist! Take cover!
この私を天国へ押し上げるのはウェザー、他の誰でもないお前だったな。
Writing into the story a fantastic reason why he would logically keep his brother alive for this moment.
ダイバーダウン先行させたぜ、ウェザーの体の中に。
That's so freaking clever, bruh!
盲目の老婆が影響されないのを見て私はこの現象の答えを理解した。ウェザーが死ぬまでこの現象は絶対にやむことはないのだ。
Oh, that's such a clever stand ability, an explanation of said ability.
ダイバーダウン、安っぽい感情で動いてるんじゃない。
This gets me so hyped, it's insane, man. I cannot express how perfect their music picks have been.
私が目指しているものは全ての人々をそこへ導ける。お前らはそれを邪魔しているんだ。
Not only do you make him so non-one-dimensional, but he's now like four-dimensional or something, because you give him an aim that isn't entirely bad in any way. He's doing what he thinks must be the right thing. It's great.
素早くなくてもいい。確実に作れば、単純に作れば。
This might be the strongest stand since the world, maybe even more powerful than that. I just adore how clever it is and how genius the mangaka is to have come up with it.
君が私の目の代わりになるんだ。君が見えるものを喋ってくれないか。
Just when I think they've won, he logically counterattacks, in a way that makes perfect sense for his Stan's abilities to do so.
小細工じゃない。ウェザーの方が強い。勝つのはウェザーだ。
Yet another amazing counterattack. Ugh, it's so good, get out of it! Stunning looking moment right there.
ウェザーの射程内に。
That was far too good to not wind up getting 2 max wins. I loved that so much you have no idea. Doing it in black and white, with only the hardened blood showing, was pure magic too. They used the JoJo versus Dio music, I can't believe it, what a choice!
神父のやつは風の中でこいつの頭に細工していったんだ。
I can't show much due to lots of tomato passato everywhere, but what a scene! The escape of the priest, the use of their stands to enable the escape, the feeling of hope being lost, and potentially weather report too.
カタツムリから治っているはず。ヘンパリオ、ジョリー。石も消えてるよ、お姉ちゃん。もう一度話がしたい。
Yeah, 2 max wins for that. Extremely sad with that haunting music. Everyone's painful reactions, especially knowing their arrival may have caused it too. Made me tear up, and purely because of the extensive character building he'd just gone through. What a wonderful but painful way to write a story. Amazing.
死んでいた俺を生き返らせてくれた者のためには命を懸けれる。ウェザーもそうだったんだ。
Take one here as well for his statement. I felt that was really poignant. This was how much he respected him in the end and how he conducted himself at the end. Also one for skipping the ED to give us this moment.
私の頭にこのディスクを差し込めば能力を使えるというのか。
I choose to believe here that she did this to feel like he was with her again one more time.
どうすれば。父さん、教えて。
Hearing all of her very well written and voiced internal monologue, struggling to know what to do next.
かわいい。そうだ。ついにジョリーンに会えたんだ。
It's very sweet to see these emotions are still with him. He's really become such a big part of the team since he was introduced. I'd almost forgotten he was still in love with her.
目が覚めたなら、この俺の気持ちを受け止めてほしい。
Really unexpectedly sweet.
これでもくらえ、クセラ。
見せろ。手を見してみろ。君はまさか。
So very unexpected.
ここがスペースシャトル組み立て工場。その発射台に見晴らし台。僕たちはまずビジターセンターに向かう。
Laying everything out on this map for us, giving a better understanding of where they're heading now.
君の質問に付き合わなきゃいけないのか。
Find it difficult to stop talking about how unique I find him? I really expected him to lash out in pain and attack the guy, but no, just kind of tells him to leave him alone. He's so original.
ロケットを地球の外に飛ばすために最も厄介なことは、伊藤の高跳び選手も赤道に近い方がいい記録が出るかもしれません。
For the final time as well, maybe one more win for showing how much he struggled to get here. It really and truly hasn't been easy on him in any way. As always, you've come to expect this from me. I am so confused right now. It's one of the first proper scenery shots since getting out of the prison. Most everything else was cities. Back-to-back incredibly detailed looks at her. I adore how every season has sought to take the stakes higher than before, culminating in this moment where now potentially thousands of people are affected by these events. Just feels ever more grand. Absolutely mind-blowing plot twist! The whole escape from the car scene! She is such a great voice actor, they really did pick a great one! So impressed with how they've handled the gravity aspect. Must have been a bit of a challenge, but they've excelled. Yet another kind of new and totally unique and weird looking stunned llama! Awesome way to end the episode with the stakes higher than they've ever been before and faced with a seemingly unstoppable foe. The pacing of a JoJo's season cannot be underestimated. Kicking off episode 34 with even smoother animation than we're used to getting from David Productions. You must be bored of hearing me go on about how unique these stands always are, but you gotta admit, there's some truly unique ones out there over the many years, and his wit and intelligence are legendary. Probably my favourite JoJo post from her yet this season! Her getting her own first attack off, and also those effects, goodness me! Times like this are where I truly feel like you can see the effort put into making her look and act just like her father would in the same instance. The fact that I can't tell if this is CGI or not is a massive win. I swear for the final time, the impact I feel from these battles due to their voice actor performances and the, well, incredible music is off the charts. Every single time it gets my heart pounding and my foot pumping. For me, I think that's the most clever attack I've seen her use her stand for thus far, because it also combines with a saving of him falling down below. It's crazy good. The building teamwork in JoJo always seems to occur outside of my knowledge. It's like it's achieved without really having to put much on screen to demonstrate it, and then here you get that distinct feeling, as he, someone who previously cared nothing for others, is willing to give up his life for her. Taking into consideration realistic outside interests for one of the first times, as it reminds me that when Jotaro and Dio messed up a city, basically no one arrived till the end in any meaningful way. But obviously here the attack hasn't been going on for long and the military is straight up en route. The current end to their battle, but mostly the win is for how they're now starting the process of bringing the entire story back into focus. Not just this season, but all of the prior seasons. I'm totally fine with this and it excites me greatly. For me, it's so much better than him being a powerhouse at the start. Instead, I've spent all this time highlighting his failings and struggles to get here.
よし、戻るぞ。ビジターセンターの建物へ。ジョリーンにはもう痛みや思考したりする感覚はない。裏返ったのは心臓だ。
嘘だ。
Avoiding showing the inversion effect, but because she's been so well built upon over 34 episodes, I felt straight up horrible watching her get attacked like that. I feel terrible.
全ての人間が到達すべき幸福だということを心に戒めておこう。
Even now, as much as I hate him for what he did, I cannot say he's a boilerplate villain. Even now, he's mindful of his true goal, not to gain strength, but for the happiness of all as he sees it.
お姉ちゃん、今のは、そんなバカな。
Some amazing and despair-filled voice acting there from her.
状況はよくわからないが、娘と神父が出会ったことは感覚で知っている。瀕死の状態で生きている。空城城太郎。
Cannot even tell you how hyped I am to hear his voice again after like 20 or so episodes have passed by, and that he's now okay again. Let's go!
なんとしても空城ジョリーンだけはここで決着をつけなくては。
Goodness me, how he went from a normal pose to an iconic Joe pose. Ah! Very brief not walking on the spot.
戻れ、シム！そいつは嵐だ！ダイバーダウンが潜れるのは壁や地面だけではない。
He's going on the attack and the battles never cease to be entertaining in their weird nature.
ダイバーダウン！空振り！自分の肉体までも！
Come on now, that is insane, dude! He can turn his face inside out to avoid a direct attack! Her return and the way they did it, silently building up the tension for him as he felt a touch. Then they went first person on it to show off her arm. Absolutely brilliant and well worth max wins.
糸だけだ。クソ、背後だ。
Using those attacks with just limbs and her cornered angry wolf face turning into a hunter in this moment was a very smart move for her character, pushed to the edge. This!
最後までとことん来い。
いや、確実さを待っている。確実さがやってくるのを待っている。どういう意味かわかるか？
It feels like he's gotten more praise than her, but I love it. He's refusing to be drawn into a position where he'd be disadvantaged and so denies her and continues his thought process. Damn him, but also wow! Most excellent development for him. Like I said, he used to care not for anyone. Now he's saving the boy. Before I go any further, as soon as this happened, massive legit smile on my face in real time. Let's go! It's Jotaro's arm and he's doing this thing and he saved her. I'm so happy. It's Star Platinum and he's doing his thing and I'm so very overjoyed.
森に捕まっていれば重力があろうと圧倒的なスピードで一気に3キロ引っ張り上げてくれる。
She's back. Anime just got even better. I'm losing my damn mind. And there he is. Take 2 max wins. I'm so happy. He's one of my favourite characters of all time. The plot twist of his attempt to forward the new moon to right now is excellent. It means a nonsense last-second escape isn't needed while he hides for a final showdown, and it can instead happen now.
成長したな、ジョリーン。
It's like she finally got what she had been yearning for so long now, to have her father back, and she understood it had happened now amongst all of the chaos. The world and its sound effect and him shouting it out will never not be incredibly awesome to me.
時は最大で5秒ほど止まっている。お前は気づかない。停止した時の中を。
Feels oddly poetic that in the final battle they face, he comes across someone who is able to do what he did against Dio, moving slightly during the time stop. Makes the following episodes all the more final and epic.
このプッチを押し上げてくれたのはお前らだ。私の味方は刑務所の時からお前らだったのだ。
In the same vein, this is also poetic because it makes the entire seasons-long story come full circle in a big way.
シームーンではない。重力のパワーがこの体を貫いてくる。
For very likely one of the final ever times, yet another unique standoff. Can't believe he got 3 variations.
地獄へ落ちろ、このゲス野郎。失敗してくれんのか、ジョリーン。嬉しいぜ。
The pure and simple fact that he's still alive got this moment a win. Really didn't want to lose another.
あそこから200メートルほど移動したようだ。今まで我々がいたのはあの建物の向こう側だった。
Oh, how I missed his nature and how he stays calm at basically all times no matter what. So good to have him back.
見晴らしのいい場所にいろ。この雨はすぐにや。
どうしたんだみんな。
You've heard it dozens of times across dozens of videos covering hundreds of episodes of JoJo, but here we are again. What's going on? I'm super confused all of a sudden.
失礼しました。コマーシャルの時間でした。あれ、もう過ぎちゃった？
Prime extra example of a prior win detailing how these events are, for one of the first times, greatly shown to be affecting the wider world rather than their group and those around them. The weather just doing its thing rather than only starting up when someone says something poignant. Oh my god, after this a baseball takes a guy's lower jaw off! Genuinely shocked me!
まずい。移動しろ。ここを。
Due to his persistent prior mentioned calmness, when he does talk like this, you know it's bad. This was the perfect final boss kind of enemy stand for him to have to face off against.
俺は全力であなたのお嬢さんを守ります、ジョータロウさん。お嬢さんとの結婚を。
It massively reduces the gimmick, the comedy element, from a few episodes ago when handled like this, and for me is the best showcase of his growth. He is serious about it, and the anime lets us know that. The music choices have been stupidly great from start to finish. Using this just adds emotion to the moment, gives it credence, makes it real, her own feelings coming across without words. Lovely. Pulling off a rotating shot like it's no big deal. Beautifully edited as well. This is the one downside of legit having so much love in my heart for my boy Jotaro, is when I see him badly hurt like he just was, and I'm not joking, I get an anxious stomach. That's crazy. He's still hurt, but this helped and my tum hurts and I'm so excited I'm shaking. I'm just throwing a win at the screen. Such a nice touch to quickly add his actual shock at Jotaro suddenly appearing in front of him. Just makes him come across as not an invincible god in this moment. stunning CGI surrounding him.
この世の人類が真の幸福に導かれるための力なのだ。
How are you going to keep on keeping him humble to the very end with his true goal at the front of his mind? Excellent villain!
エルメスが弾丸にシールを貼った。シールで弾丸は2つになっている。
Definitely in my top 10 most clever use of their stands within combat this season. Oh, it's so incredibly intense!
タイミングが大切だ。奴を捕まえて倒すんです。それはあんたのスタープラチナしかない。ジョリーンもエンポリオもエルメウスもこの距離なら全員の体内に同時に入れている。
話すよお前。相打ちってことか。
無理だ。
His growth has hit its peak. He went from caring for no one to loving Jolene, to protecting Emporio, and now to jointly attempting to protect everyone by potentially risking his life in a very real way. He's even using his stand to protect literally everyone else aside from himself in case they're attacked instead.
いいわ、アナスイ。申し込んで。
I'm worried. This really has the feeling of finality about it, but her reaction was amazing and true.
時がさらにもっともっと加速してんじゃないのか。
This plot twist, but half the win is for her outstanding voice acting. Just knowing she had to put so much into what she was seeing on the screen and in the process brought the character so vividly to life is inspiring. Take another win for all of their performances as well, from the old crew to the new. Outstanding.
それでも間に合う漫画家がいる。誰だそいつは。何者なんだ。
岸辺露伴。
Nice reference! I knew it was too good to be true, but I was still shocked so much. He's the best at plot twists.
神父はすでに空中へ投げていた。かつてディオがやったように。
Using that music again for this pivotal moment and another plot twist of that! 2 max wins for that entire beautifully done and shocking scene. Cannot tell you how this affects me, turns my stomach into knots, but on topic, the sound effects of the new stand are extremely well done, sounding powerful and fast, and the shock is palpable. I was gonna put a me over him, but in reality I'm more tearing up than screaming, and that's the truth in that moment. Try your eyes, boys and girls, it's not over yet. Throwing another win at the screen for that.
時の加速は関係ない。物を持ち上げたり溺れないように泳げる距離は普段と同じ。
Extremely clever to take this into account during the plan, but also that she noticed animals being unaffected by the change in the time and thus using them to her advantage too.
絶対に決着はつける。因果を未来へ持っていくことはできない。
This comment, because he's basically refusing to make the same mistake as Dio long ago, and that's amazing to put that into his frame of mind right here.
あんたを逃がすのはアナスイであり、エルメスであり、私の父さん。
まさか。待ってお姉ちゃん。
What's happening here is inherently beautiful. They understand they cannot surmount his power. They want to band together to save an innocent child now as a result, and it's bloody beautiful. Absolutely stunning animation.
また夜だ。なんだ。さらに時が加速しているぞ。買い占めろ。缶詰を買い占めろ。
The single best set of ramifications for the events unfolding, because it now officially affects the world.
あの輝きの線が太陽なのか。
昼なの夜なの今は何年の何月何日なの。
I watched this with my jaw slack with worry, seeing our heroes melt away, the seasons change, the land mass of the world altering. It makes me feel ill. I'm so confused but kind of less worried than before. Let's interlock our fingers, join hands and progress forward and grant the anime a timid win.
なんなんだこの二人は。でもすごく。
人類は到達し夜明けを迎えたのだ。メイドインヘブンによって約束された。
Such massive stakes for our heroes. I'm in awe of this writing and storytelling and how it's panned out. Also, for the last time, skipping that OP for extra content is a win in my book. I feel like they made it up to fans by not having a new OP for part 2 by having 2 versions of it here, and what a second version it is, chock full of really great references. Easy max 2 wins, loved it!
同じように進化する地球の時間を猛スピードで辿って。
Giving a nice visual representation of what he's referring to.
いないんだ。ここにお姉ちゃんたちはいない。僕はまた一人だ。
So much emotion, you can feel it. Such a great job done.
してそれこそが幸福である。未来を覚悟できるからだ。
Take a win for his full rant, the full understanding of his actions, and why he did what he did. I'd have shown more, but he had a leaky eye the entire time.
のならお前に変えてもらうことにしたよ。お前の腕が入り口の隙間で僕の頭に押し込んだんだ。
What an absolute masterpiece of a third part this has ended up becoming. 14 amazing episodes. Brilliant plot twist. Sadly, again, loads of tomato juice being spilt everywhere, so I'm being careful. But it was an amazing, win-worthy sight to see him panicking over potentially losing there. Absolutely for that massive attack, heck yes. One worthy of crushing the greatest foe they've ever faced. Smashed into oblivion, and justice done by having it be completed by weather reports stand. The smile on my face when she finally turned around and I knew it was really her.
ガソリン代と飯代をおごってくれるんならば好きなとこまで乗っけてってやってもいいぜ。
乗りなよ坊や。怪しいものじゃないわ。私たちもこれから父さんのところへ会いに行くのよ。結婚するかも。私たち。
This factor still being true for them even now.
ほら乗りなさいって。寒いの？さあ。
僕の名前はエンポリオです。
That music hits hard, man. Feels like the end of an era.
止めなさいよ。かわいそうだって。
Goodness me, using that music here. They're all together. Ah, the tears, man. Take one final win for the last ED. I can't believe it's over. I'm shocked in all honesty, as it didn't go down how I thought it would, but it was amazing to see everyone by the end. I just wish I could have seen Joseph one more time. Ultimately, a fantastic final season for the Joestars. Unreal plot twists and new heights the series had never seen were reached. On a personal note, thank you all so much for watching. I've made 21 Anime Wins videos covering all 190 episodes, I believe. What a journey. What a bizarre one too. Please consider subscribing, helping out on Patreon, or by leaving a tip if you enjoyed my work. It took a long time to cover this, so it would mean a lot. Of course, you can also like and comment and share the video. It means a great deal to me. Thank you again for watching my work. I appreciate you. I love JoJo. I love my followers. JoJo means the world to me. So do you. And if they cover the next season, I'll be here to cover it if I'm still lucky enough to be able to do this line of work by then. Bless you, and hopefully see you in another video on the channel and in the future. Chris Harris, Lifty, Corey Bosch, Hinakami and Water, Manuel Morales, Marquez, Nick Wyndham, Orkeeper, Steelers, The Epic Commander, Adelitzk, Bird Without a Word, Blitzcloud, Brandon Krier, Deliverance, Emmanuel Gonzalez, Gaten 2000, Jessica Start, Kepan, Comfreig, Magnus, Nathan Burr, Red Moon, Sean, Sebastian Ramirez, Wesley Tabak, Wiccan Faye, Ali 50, Clear Lonely Jellyfish, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Guru, Israel Caldera, Yor Edvinson, Jonas Stahl, Jordan Samuels, Jaffa 6263, Kieran Robinson, Keldnock, Kevin Nelter, Conito, Laxus, Luis Cruz, Matthew Blanchett, 1928, Oliver Smiley Reacts, Saint Flo 25, Sentimento, Storm 970, The Elementator Wars.